And in big news, of course, this past week we had Valorant's release. I'm sure we'll talk about this later on in the podcast. The timing of that release, quite unfortunate, but we do see several teams out there either finishing their rosters or announcing their rosters. Zan, I want to talk about one particular organization that I greatly respect and what could pay off as the biggest gamble or what could burn down as one of the worst investments we have seen when it comes time for Valorant, that being T1. And we have long talked about them.
Fair.
I really do enjoy these guys. Of course, formerly SKT. If you guys don't know, now T1. Still well known for the Korean League of Legends scene. And this organization, I would say this for the headline, is now taking the Valorant as seriously as League of Legends. They are looking as Valorant as the next League of Legends and as the next big esport. And that, as a bottom line, I do respect. And it's very cool to see. If you guys have no idea what we're talking about, they just finished their North American roster, finishing up with Skadoodle, which is pretty cool pickup. That roster in itself has a bunch of fun storylines. The first ever Valorant Pro, 3 former iBuyPower guys. They're all Counter-Strike guys, even the coach as well. They've also now announced a North American Academy team brought to us by Joe Marsh, who actually heads T1, and a Korean lineup is now underway. And so I think it's so cool to see a team out there want to take a risk on what could be the next big esport and announce, confirm for the future, 3 separate rosters.
First of all, let me just say it's going to take me literally years to stop thinking of them as SKT.
Yes.
It's so weird that they're just T1 now.
And it's like SKT or SKT T1, and now it's T1. I had the same thought today when I was thinking about it. I was like, God, SKT is just like, it's stuck in my head.
Yeah, check back in a decade from now, I'll still be talking about them as SKT, but that's besides the point.
One of the overlooked rebrands, so I'll give you that
absolutely.
credit.
I think it's amazing to see a team like, swinging so big and really investing so much time, money, energy into a game that's so early on in its development,
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. I think it's an interesting call, probably smarter for them to make than it would be for some other organizations, given their region, because I think the game is almost guaranteed to be a huge success in Asia, even though I think that's still kind of up in the air in some Western regions. I think that's, debatable. But in Asia, hey, it's going to be huge. And the earlier they can have fans get attached to T1 and start building a relationship with the players and really connecting T1 as the Valorant org, the better for the team.
Yeah, and this is why I bring these topics up on the podcast, because you bring such a great perspective that, in the midst of a solo video where it's just me, I don't think of these points. There's so many tangents that...
To be fair, your points are usually solid, though. Don't discount your job.
I love the fact that you also bring up, this could be a good financial move, especially we've already seen a ton of Asian teams. Now, it might not be teams of note that you've all heard of. When it comes time for numbers of teams, though, the Asian market has been flooded with teams signing up to compete in this upcoming esport. And I want to bounce one last point is when it comes time for what they've invested, we don't know the numbers, but when it comes time for a North American roster, a North American Academy, and a Korean lineup as well, you might think, wow, they're probably spending a decent amount of cash. And then we ask the question, well, yeah, but look at all the teams out there investing 25+ mil into a Call of Duty franchise.
Right.
Down the line, we're gonna assess all of these investments, right? We've seen a Virtus Pro investor drop $100 million. We've seen Immortals Gaming buy out the Optic Gaming brand and several teams for $100 million. We have seen 12 Call of Duty League organizations invest 25+ million. We will see what investments pay off. And I hope that years from now, we're talking about this as one of the bigger gambles that did or maybe did not pay off. And so it's very, very cool what T1 is doing, and we will see how their success continues and how Valorant success also continues.